Despite the fact that gas prices are down these days, California drivers continue to pay the highest gas taxes in the nation. And starting on January the 1st, some believe a new fee will be added to those taxes. Some are calling it the hidden gas tax. Some believe that prices could jump 15 to 70 cents a gallon. The higher prices, if they come, will come from the state's so-called cap and trade program, also known as AB 32. It's designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Transportation fuel suppliers will start paying into the program, and those costs will be passed along to you. In our special report, we'll show you what it could cost you, our local businesses, and our schools, and more importantly, where the money is really going.
We're all trying to work. We're trying to survive.
Like many small business owners, Dave Salter worries about higher fuel costs. He also worries about his workforce and being forced to do something he hasn't had to do in 25 years.
I hate to even think about that.
We'll explain what that is in just a moment, but first, some background. California has the highest gas prices in the continental U.S. and the highest gas taxes in the nation. For every gallon of gasoline or diesel you purchase, the government collects between 71 and 74 cents in taxes. Some believe the expanding cap and trade program, also known as AB 32, will tack on an additional 15 to 70 cents on top of the highest gas tax base in the country.
It's going to come right out of the pocketbook of people who can't afford it.
Locally, Assemblyman Jim Patterson is an outspoken critic of what some are now calling the hidden gas tax. He recently held a press conference in Clovis on the cost of cap and trade here in the Valley. So, what is the hidden gas tax, and what does it mean for you? It means gas prices are going up, but by how much is up for debate. On the low end, you'll pay an additional $3 every time you fill up a 20-gallon tank. On the high end, you'll pay an additional $14 to fill up each time. That's on top of the taxes you're already paying. The bottom line, the state will collect tens of billions of dollars.
It's going to hurt working people, it's going to hurt small business, it's going to hurt agriculture, transportation.
Think about it. Every person, every industry, every business paying the state more for fuel. From our local citrus industry,
it's a $2.5 million hit to our industry.
To local trucking companies,
the small trucking companies, this will actually put them in the street. It'll put them out of business.
To small business owners.
By the time they get done and said, it's probably going to hit my company for about $5,000 a month.
Even the Clovis Unified School District could pay an additional $100,000 per year to keep its fleet of buses running.
There's no new money for that to cover that cost.
And keep in mind, every school district in the state will pay more for fuel, not just Clovis. The state budget analyst predicts that overall, the combined total cap and trade program could collect up to $45 billion by 2020. To put that in perspective, $45 billion is 6 times bigger than the water bond that voters approved this month, and 16 times bigger than the money that's been set aside for water storage. So where is all the money going? Unlike regular tax revenue that goes to Sacramento, where lawmakers allocate funding in open public debates, cap and trade revenue bypasses that traditional, transparent legislative process. Instead, under the Global Warming Solutions Act, again AB 32, billions of dollars will go to the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. 12 non-elected members of the Air Resource Board, who were appointed by the governor and approved by the state Senate, help to oversee the funds. Their annual operating budget is over $850 million and growing. The Air Resource Board says the money supports clean mass transit, more fuel-efficient and low-emission vehicles, and improved freight movement, just to name a few. But where's the bulk of the cap and trade money gone so far? Well, the state recently borrowed $500 million from the fund to balance the state budget. They promise they'll pay it back. Reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, zero. And the governor also recently siphoned off more than $250 million from the fund to help pay for the state's largely unfunded $68 billion bullet train. Reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, for now at least, zero. Some believe high-speed rail won't be completed until 2029, but they also believe that high-speed rail could cut greenhouse gas emissions by up to 4 metric tons by 2040. So where's the rest of the money? Dave Clegren with the Air Resource Board.
Several hundred million of it will go to disadvantaged communities.
Senate Bill 535 requires that 25% of the cap and trade funds go to disadvantaged communities. The money is to be spent on weatherization of homes, weather stripping, insulation, hot water heaters, and solar. Hundreds of millions are also earmarked from everything from fire prevention to wetland restoration to green state buildings to food and agriculture to recycling. But is all of that spending really significantly cutting greenhouse gas emissions?
That makes it even more reason why there should be a public discussion of how we're spending those funds.
The state's nonpartisan Legislative Analyst's Office shares that skepticism. It concluded in its 2014-2015 budget review of the cap and trade spending plan, quote, "There is significant uncertainty regarding the degree to which each investment proposed for funding would achieve greenhouse gas emission reductions." And what about the claim that this is a hidden tax on consumers?
What this is not a tax.
The board won't call it a tax, even though there's pending litigation on that very question. For now, legally at least, it's a fee. If it's ruled to be a tax, it could be illegal. And for now, the board won't even concede that gas prices will go up next year.
I can't tell you if the price is going to go up January 1st. I don't have any control of that.
But Seth Kirstein with the Legislative Analyst's Office, who has a PhD in economics, admits that prices will likely increase 13 to 20 cents per gallon or more.
Could exceed 50 cents per gallon potentially. It's not likely, but it's possible.
Even Democratic State Senator Darrell Steinberg, a supporter of cap and trade, has predicted that gas prices could spike 40 cents a gallon. And the California Drivers Alliance, which received its seed money from the Western States Petroleum Association, predicts that prices could jump 76 cents a gallon. To which the Air Resource Board, ARB, says
The price at the pump is something that ARB has no control over.
So where does that leave you? Where does it leave businesses? Can't they just pass the extra fuel costs on to consumers?
They always say pass that cost along, but here in the valley where we're at, people don't have money.
You can only charge so much for a piece of fruit because the consumer has alternatives.
Alternatives from outside the country.
We in California will lose sales.
Our schools lose too. Clovis Unified says higher fuel costs will mean fewer after-school tutors, fewer counselors for at-risk students, and fewer textbooks.
This is going to be hyperinflationary. We're going to lose jobs.
Which brings us back to David Salter and the one thing he hates to think about.
I hate to even think about that. Possible layoffs.
Some fear that thousands of jobs will be lost as businesses cut costs to absorb those higher fuel costs. But ARB says a study from UC Berkeley claims that jobs will be created, not lost. So, what's the alternative to cap and trade? Get rid of it, says Assemblymember Patterson. He points to Australia's failed carbon tax.
They undid the law.
Admittedly, Australia's carbon tax was different from California's cap and trade program, but both were promoted as a way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But it's
So expensive and costing so many jobs that they simply ended it.
Now, many who are even against this program say something needs to be done to clean up the Central Valley air. Some believe, however, the state's cap and trade program is the wrong approach to cleaning up the air. They also believe it will disproportionately hurt many of the poor, many of whom live right here in the Central Valley.